The new look Mariners are off to a good start, but can they keep it going against the White Sox? Let's talk about it. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. This is Tidy Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use the promo code Locked On Golf to receive 20% off your order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. White Sox coming to town for 3 starting tonight. And, you hear that name, Chicago White Sox, and you go, hey, that's a nice little reprieve for the Mariners, right? And it should be. However, you shouldn't take this White Sox team too lightly right now. Since the All-Star break, they are 11-5. with a couple of very impressive series wins over the Tampa Bay Rays and the Philadelphia Phillies. And this White Sox offense has been really leading the charge, thanks in part to guys like Luis Robert Jr., who is finally coming around. 395, 460, 535, the slash line for Robert since the All-Star break. That's a 180 WRC plus. Colson Montgomery is hitting for a 259 average with a 655 slug since the All-Star break. Linian Sosa has a 160 WRC plus since the All-Star break. Mike Tauchman, 146. Chase Mydroth, we'll see if he is in the lineup tonight. He's been out the last couple of days with an injury, but he's got a 113 WRC plus since the All-Star break. Kyle Teal's got a 157 WRC plus since the All-Star break. Edgar Caro's got a 139 WRC plus since the All-Star break. Even Andrew Benintendi right now has a 117 WRC plus. So this White Sox lineup right now, not easy to get through. And they got quite a bit of young talent throughout now. This is a little bit of a different lineup since the last time we saw the White Sox. Josh Palacios is not around. He obviously gave the Mariners some problems when they were in Chicago. So you don't have to see him. Obviously, Austin Slater's been traded. A couple other guys are not around anymore. But still, quite a bit of talent, actually, in this White Sox lineup. And like I said, I wouldn't take them too lightly going into this one.
No, I mean, since June 1st, the White Sox have as many wins as the Yankees. Now, I'm not sure if that says more about the Yankees or the White Sox, probably more about the Yankees, but
yeah, I would say more like the former.
Yeah, but again, this is a team that's playing good ball since the All-Star break. They have a lot of young talent that is finally reached the big leagues, and Teal and Colson Montgomery being the obvious, headliners there. So again, it's not the easiest thing in the world. You do have to face in this series Shane Smith and Davis Martin, their two best guys. So this is not an easy series by any stretch. The last time you played these guys, it wasn't an easy series, and they weren't playing nearly as good, and they didn't have nearly as this much talent on their roster. So this is not a roll out of bed and just go take 2 out of 3 from the White Sox type of series right now. And we talk about this all the time, but often it's not, who you play, it's when you play them. Are they playing good ball? Are they pitching well? Do they have a couple of guys who are hot? And the answer to that is yes. The White Sox are playing good ball right now. They have a bunch of dudes who are hot at the plate, and you are going to face their 2 best pitchers. So it's not a series that the Mariners still shouldn't find a way to win. They are more talented than the White Sox. They are just a better baseball team than the White Sox. And you're at home, and you're throwing some really good arms yourself against them. So you still should find a way to win the series, but it's not going to be easy. I think these games are going to be dogfights, and it's interesting. Seattle does a lot of things that really good teams do well, but they don't really play that well against sub 500 teams. It really
we'll
is.
Talk about that a little bit more later on.
Yeah. So it is one of those things where it's like, hey, you just had your first off day in 17 days. Are you going to come to the ballpark? Are you going to be dragging a little bit? Are you going to be pumped? Are you going to look at this team and be like, yeah, whatever. It's just the White Sox. We'll be fine. Because you can't. Because as good as this weekend felt, you can give it all right back if you play poorly here. And don't forget, you have the Rays coming in, who are also a talented team after this. So it's important to win this series. You have to keep winning games. It is the only way. Nobody else is going to save you. If you want to make the playoffs, you have to win the games to get into the playoffs. And if you're going to do that, you have to beat teams like the White Sox. So, it's I don't want to say it's scary to play the White Sox because, again, you are better than them. No question. But they're playing good ball. And you kind of bounce back and forth between 500. A lot of win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game since the All-Star break. So, you have the off day. The bullpen should be reset. You're throwing Wu at him. You're throwing Gilbert at him. You're throwing Kirby at him. So it's a series you should win, but it is not one that you are just going to take easily. So I hope they're ready to go, and I hope they come into the ballpark today fired up and well rested. They earned it. And now we're kind of in the I'd say we're officially in the home stretch of the regular season. We have 48 games left to go. That. So we've entered the sprint portion of the marathon, and these are big series. So you don't want to miss an opportunity to win a series against a team that you should beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you still have, teams like the Mets and the Phillies and the Guardians and the Padres, and
the Dodgers,
the Astros and the Dodgers and the Royals, who are still involved here in the wild card race as well. When you still have those kinds of teams left on the schedule, you got to be able to take advantage of these little pockets here, and this is one of them here with the White Sox. So I think they have to come away from the series with at least 2 wins, and hopefully they're able to even sweep. That would be great, but definitely getting 2 out of 3 here is crucial. All right, so we are going to talk about the pitching matchups coming up here over the next few days in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. I mean, you're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's LOCKEDON to get started. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. So coming up tonight, pitching matchup wise, the White Sox are throwing Davis Martin and the Mariners are throwing Brian Wu. So really, really cool pitching matchup here. Davis Martin, very talented dude. Last time you saw him, he went 7 1/3 against you, gave up just 2 earned runs. That was the night that Julio hit that grand slam to make it a little bit lopsided in the Mariners' favor, but that was a very close game, thanks in large part to Martin throwing the ball very well that night. So again, talking about not taking these guys lightly, definitely should not take Davis Martin lightly. So what are your thoughts on Davis Martin?
Yeah, I mean, he's having a nice year. There's no question about it. But again, this is a completely different lineup from the one that he saw in Chicago. Yeah. Now, Cal's not swinging it particularly well at the moment. Naylor and Gino didn't have a good weekend series. So even though there are new players, they're not particularly swinging it well.
Just a reminder of like some of the guys that were hitting in that game for the Mariners: Leody Taveras, Dylan Moore, Rowdy Tellez, Ben Williamson. don't think we're going to see any of those guys facing Martin tonight, So
Sure.
Yeah, now you got Gino, now you got Naylor, etc.
Yeah, but Martin's a pretty good pitcher. He's certainly having a good year. I think the game plan here is you kind of have to try and get him out of the game relatively early and attack this bullpen, which is still a problem as it is for most bad teams. They don't really care about the bullpen. But Martin's not going to get any swing and miss. He's not going to strike a ton of dudes out. He's going to want you to put the ball in play. So you have to elevate it. You have to drive the gaps. You have to work counts. And you can't help him out. You can't chase. You can't expand the zone. So it's not incredible stuff for Martin, but he really knows how to pitch. He throws strikes, and he makes you get yourself out. So you really do have to be very disciplined in your approach at the plate and look for your pitch. And don't be afraid to get into 2-strike counts because he doesn't have incredible stuff to wipe you out. So, it's being selectively aggressive. If you don't get your pitch, don't be afraid to take it and live to fight another day. Don't help him out. But again, he's an effective pitcher. He's having a good year. And Seattle, the offense was pretty good this weekend without its biggest players, doing much to help out. So, they should be able to scratch 3 or 4 runs off of Martin, but who knows? And as we know, T-Mobile Park, not exactly the hitter's best friend. It's going to be a challenge, but I think the key here is don't be afraid to get to a 2-strike count, wait for your pitch. And then once you get to 2 strikes, then you kind of have to go to work. But until then, don't worry about it. Just wait until you get the pitch you're looking for and don't miss it when you do get it.
So I'm going to sound like a broken record here because I've said this a bunch already over the last week. But again, I will reiterate it. If the Mariners want to get to where they want to go this season, they need Brian Wu, George Kirby, and Logan Gilbert to be Brian Wu, George Kirby, and Logan Gilbert. And those 3 guys are going in the series. We'll have plenty of time to talk about Logan and George, tomorrow. But I want to focus on Brian Wu because 2 out of the 3 starts since the All-Star break for Brian haven't gone particularly well. Gave a 4 earned and 5 runs in total to the Astros in 6 innings. Had a solid start down in Anaheim where he only gave up 2 runs. But then against the A's in Sacramento, his last time out, 5 earned runs, piped a lot of fastballs, 4 home runs off of him. Probably the ugliest start that Brian Wu has had all year long. So really looking for him to bounce back here. What are your thoughts on Wu going into the start?
Yeah. His last start was pretty bad, and it was all about the fastball. He just had so many 2-seamers just run right into the middle of the plate. So you hope that that's just a slight, mechanical thing that he can clean up and he can start front hipping those pitches like he wants to instead of starting them on the inside corner and running them into the middle of the plate. Wu also has an extra day off this time around. Now he had like a week, week 8-9 days after the All-Star break, and that start didn't go well. So I'm not saying that necessarily is going to mean anything, but Brian has been bad since the All-Star break. Even the start in Anaheim, it was statistically good, but he wasn't very sharp, right? He was kind of surviving a little bit there and finding a way to work his way through a lineup, and he did a good job of that. But he didn't have his best stuff. He didn't have his best command, and we've seen that since the All-Star break. Command's just been a little bit off. Too many pitches in the middle of the plate. Now he's not walking guys, which is good because obviously you give up 4 2-run homers instead of 4 solo homers, you're screwed. But anytime you give up 4 home runs, I don't care how many guys are on base, you had a bad night. Now you get him out of that Little League ballpark in Sacramento, although none of those home runs were particularly cheap. But you get them out of that ballpark, get him in T-Mobile Park, hopefully figure out the fastball command and really dial in that pitch because we know how important it is for him. Then he could see success tonight. But again, it's going to come all the way. It always comes back to the pitcher. He has to have good command and control. And, he's had the control part. He's not walking a lot of guys, but the command, there are a lot of fastballs that are just flying right into the middle of the plate. And I don't care how good your fastball is. If you throw 70% fastball and 20% of them end up in the middle of the plate, you're going to give up home runs. And you just can't afford to do that. And you need to work deep into this game. I guess the one nice thing about Wu is feel pretty confident he's going to give you 6 one way or another. He'll find a way to give you 6. And that's, helpful, but he does need better fastball command. And it's really all about that 2-seamer. He has to start that thing, on the front hip of the lefty and have it run back over the plate instead of starting it on the inside corner against the lefty and have it run right back over the middle of the plate. There's a difference there. One of those pitches is incredibly difficult to barrel up. The other one is batting practice to a major leaguer. So we'll see how it goes. But Wu, the fastball command, that's where it starts and it ends for him every single time he goes out there.
This is actually the 4th time that Wu is going to face the White Sox in his young career. That's quite a lot for a team that you only see twice a season. So he's seen, Luis Robert and Andrew Benintendi in particular quite a bit here. So fascinated to see how he attacks those guys and how he attacks the rest of this lineup. But hopefully he's able to get back on track here. And, again, while the White Sox lineup has been red hot coming out of the break, still the White Sox. So this should be, a good opportunity for Brian to get back on the horse here. So hopefully he can do that tonight.
Not a lot of success against Wu in this lineup, although Andrew Benintendi does have a home run off of him, but 2 for 6. So not a ton of at-bats for anybody right now. That's how different this club is, the White Sox. They have so many young guys who haven't faced Wu before. There's just not a lot of at-bats there. But Wu faced the White Sox quite a bit. Hopefully this outing goes better than his last 3.
This White Sox lineup also has been pretty good against the fastball since the All-Star break. So again, talking about how hot they've been, Kyle Teal has really hit the fastball well. Benintendi's hit the fastball well. Roberts hit the fastball well. Mydros hit the fastball well. But there aren't that many fastballs that compare to Brian Wu's 4-seamer and 2-seamer. So going to be an interesting matchup to see play out. All right. So I want to talk about this team and playing against sub 500 teams in general, because it's been a bit of an issue for them. Go over that in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you once again by 5 Hour Energy. All right, folks, it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And golf is all about good times with good people. And good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. So I want to talk about this Mariners ball club and a pretty big problem area for them. They've been actually really good against teams over 500 or at 500. They're 36-26 against those teams. That's the 3rd best record in all of baseball against those kinds of teams. However, when you look at their overall record, 60-53, that means that they are 24-27 against teams that are below 500. That has to improve. And obviously, this series in particular against the White Sox provides an opportunity for them to improve in that department.
It's weird. The Mariners do a lot of things that really good teams do. They are really good against 500 or better teams. They win a lot of their one-run games. They have one of the best records in baseball in one-run games.
Yep.
They have, one of the best records in baseball inside of their division. Their intra-division record, I believe they are the 3rd highest win percentage against their division. So you would think that this team would be one of the better teams in baseball since they do all that well. And yet we know what their record is. And so, okay, well, they're beating up on their division. They're beating up on 500 teams. They're winning a lot of close games. What seems to be the problem? Oh, they can't beat bad teams, which is weird. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what it is. I mean, it could be cluster luck. We remember how poorly this team played for, well, most of May and most of June. And maybe it was just, they happened to be playing really bad ball at the time they faced most of these sub 500 teams, but it's been a problem for a couple of years now. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't know if it's a culture thing. I don't know if it's just dumb luck, but it's something that's been going on for a little while now, the last couple of years, and it's obviously a problem. So while it's great that, hey, we play really well against these good teams, that's awesome. It's also kind of hard to buy in when you can't regularly beat, the worst teams in baseball. So it is kind of a weird thing here where, again, like the things that typically tell you these are good teams that can go well in the playoffs. It's the one-run games. It's playing close games and winning them. It's playing against good teams and finding a way to beat them. Those things typically tell you that this is a good club, but when you watch them play against other 500 or below 500 clubs, they look very mediocre. And I'm just not sure if it's a timing thing or, again, if it's just a coincidence or is it a cultural thing or I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, which makes it more frustrating because I don't have a theory on how they can change that.
Yeah, there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And again, like 36 and 26 against, teams that are over 500, that is awesome. And the Mariners have obviously not had a winning record against teams over 500 for the last couple of years. Last year, they were 40 and 46. 2023, I don't know what their exact record was, but they were under 500 against those teams. The last time that they were over 500 against teams that are over 500 was 2022. What did they do in 2022? Oh, yeah, they made the playoffs for the first time in 20 some odd years. So, funny how that works out, right? So,
Second best team in the American League that year.
So, like, on one hand, you have this great sign of hopefully things to come here and proof that, they can hang and they can beat the best of the best. Right. But on the other hand, you see them constantly missing opportunities, missing big opportunities. And again, like I said earlier on in the show, like, you have to be able to take advantage of these little pockets here, like this White Sox series, because of what's coming up down the road. You got to be able to stack more wins, especially while the Yankees continue to fall and the Rangers are just kind of middling right now. And, the Royals and the Guardians can't really decide if they're going to make a last minute run or not.
Right.
And the Astros are obviously playing bad ball right now too. So,
right. I mean, look, you have to stack wins for all those reasons, but also because inevitably, just because baseball, this team's going to lose 5 out of 6 somewhere down the line here, more than likely. And you need that buffer right now. Right now, you have a little bit of a buffer on Texas. It's only a game and a half, but do remember you have that tiebreaker and then some against them. So, it's really more of a 2.5 game lead over them, but you don't have the tiebreaker against the Yankees, who are now tied with you. So, you're in pretty good shape, but at some point you're going to lose 5 of 6. You might even drop out of the playoff hunt by a game or two, and you kind of have to, climb your way back out of that. But that's why it's important to stack wins, particularly against these teams that are struggling. Now, Chicago's not struggling right now, but overall they've had a bad year. And the Rays, who come in after them, we know that they're a talented team. They bought and sold at the deadline. This year, you caught a little bit of a break that Jonathan Aranda is not going to be around for this series, who's had an incredible year. But these are the weeks where it's like, you kind of need to go 4-2 or 5-1. You have to find a way to get those things done. Because again, at some point, you're either going to be facing tough competition and they're just going to, beat you out a couple times, and that happens, or you're just going to go through a slump and you're going to lose 5 out of 6. You're going to have a bad week. And so you need to stack as many good weeks on top of your record right now as you possibly can before that stretch comes. And maybe that stretch comes this week. I don't know. Like, this team is very talented. And like I said,
Yep.
they do a lot of things that really good teams do, and they do them well. But they're still so wildly inconsistent, and we're 110 games into the season or whatever we are. Um, it's hard to trust them. It's hard to have a good feel for, this team and all that. And also, obviously, we've only seen this team together for 4 games.
Right. Yeah. So I was going to say that obviously the team that has struggled against these below 500 teams is not the same one as the one that's currently constructed in Seattle right now. Obviously, there are more fail safes, right? So
Yep.
if Cal goes in the tank for a series like we just saw against the Rangers, it's not the end of the world. You can survive it now because you have other guys and you've pushed some of your other contributors down in the lineup and down into less significant roles, right? And we already saw how much that paid off with like JP and Dom Canzone and Cole Young and the series that all of those guys had, right? So we'll see how this particular team handles these moments and handles these situations. But like I said, you got to be able to take advantage of these pockets more than you have over the course of this year. And, they're obviously well built to be able to do that more than ever. So we'll see.
It's a lot of focus on, making the playoffs, rightfully so.
Yes.
A lot of focus on maybe even winning the division, rightfully so.
Yes.
Although the Astros are going to get better here in the next, few weeks. Do you know the Mariners are only 6 games back of being the number 1 seed of winning the American League? And they're 6 games back, by the way. Well, 2 teams, the Tigers, whom you own the tiebreaker against, and the Blue Jays, who you do not. So it's like, look, I'm not telling you that like this team is going to win the American League and be the number 1 seed. Probably not. But it is not out of the question whatsoever.
Well, and that's also a very important thing to focus on here, especially if they are going to legitimately compete for this division. You want to try and not have to play in the wild card series. So you want to try and get one of those first 2 seeds because that's as good as winning a playoff series. You get that bye, you're automatically one of the final 4 in the American League.
Right. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, look, the goal is to get in however you can. Like if it's the 6th seed, it's the 6th seed. Fine, you deal with it. It's the 5 again, like you did last time. That's probably the worst position to be in, but hey, it worked out last time. You're fine. But the division is still very much up for grabs. The number 2 seed or number 1 seed even is very much still up for grabs. The American League is bad this year, and you are as talented as anybody out there. So stacking these wins not only does it help you, hold off the Rangers and hold off, I don't know, the Royals or whatever, but it also pushes you closer to the top of that pile. And only needing to win 2 series to go to the World Series would be significantly easier than needing to win 3.
Yeah.
So you also get the rest that your rotation probably is desperately going to need the way that they're
especially after facing the Dodgers in the last series of the year. Yeah.
Right. So everything that you could have possibly wanted for this season is still there for the taking, which is wild to say with all the ups and downs that this team has had, but it's there. They can take it, but they have to play good ball. And in order to, make that leap and possibly, be the 1 seed or be the 2 seed and get that bye, they have to win series like the one they're about to play. They have to win series like the one they're going to play this weekend. They have to find a way to to play better against the teams that they should beat.
Yeah.
So we'll see what I saw. The Mariners only have, as the schedule sits right now, they only have like 15 games against teams that are 500 or better, which means they have, 35 games or whatever it is, like against teams that are below 500. Well, the Mariners' record against those teams is not good, so they have to fit. If the Mariners play at the same win percentage for the rest of their season against these sub 500 teams as they play right now, they're not making the playoffs. It's as simple as that. They have to play better against these teams, and it starts tonight.
All right. That is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.